Pisces. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for January of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
Well, Pisces, if Pisces is your sun sign, then your annual mop-up period is going to begin a little later this month. And that's the 30 days before your birthday, which is a time of reflection, turning inward, resting, rumination, in preparation for your whole new birthday year to come when your birthday happens in February or March. So getting a birthday reading now, before your mop-up period even begins or during your mop-up period, it's the best time of all in your year so that you can hit the ground running when your birthday year starts. You'll find a link for that birthday reading in the YouTube description below. Well, I want to report something that actually began as early as October and is going to finally finish this month. And it's really, I think, been bugging all of us. And that is that Ceres is retrograde. Ceres is the goddess of things that connect us to the physical world. She covers our physical bodies, the food we put into them, and the money we make to sustain them. She first went retrograde in early October in the sign of Gemini in your fourth house. And it wouldn't be surprising if you could date your present worries about money, particularly about household finances, finances to do with your home, possibly to do with your mortgage, or things around the home. It wouldn't be surprising if you could date the beginning of your current worries to about October 8th. Now, last month, these worries reached a sort of a peak when Ceres opposed the sun. I'm not going to even show that on the screen, but I am going to tell you that it happened on November 26th. And I like to call that financial crisis day because it's the day when it all comes to a peak and we realize, wow, money is really in a mess. My health habits are really in a mess. I've got to sort this stuff out. And Julia, didn't you say that there was like a hundreds of points stock market crash on that day?
Exactly on that day, yeah.
Yeah. So not pretty. But since then, and going a little bit backwards, we can see that Ceres has retrograded out of Gemini and into Taurus, did that late in December. And so this is Ceres' way of telling us that we need to get back to basics. We need to return to the fundamentals. We need to return to our bodies and ask our bodies, if my digestion has really been a mess and I've been struggling with my health, I have to go back to what food feels really good in my body and is right for me. I need to go back to the basic bodily practices that I know really work for this particular vehicle that I get to ride around in this life in. And when it comes to finances, back to the basics of how you run your money. Now, this is all going to come to closure on January 14. Hooray. That is the day when, there it is, Ceres went direct. It's no longer retrograde. And so the whole rest of the month can be spent, back at the basics, like doing those things that you should be doing and checking in with your body about them as you go. And from here, bringing back to a better place. Okay, so Julia, I think you've got some news for the Pisces of the world about Mercury, Mars, and Venus.
I sure do. Well, hi there, Pisces. Mercury, the planet of communication and mentation, at the very beginning of the month on the 2nd, goes into your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of isolation. It's the house of the subconscious. When Mercury is in this house, we tend to be a lot more careful with our words, not wanting to share them. We tend to keep our words more to ourselves and prefer to do our best thinking in isolation. When Mercury's in the 12th house, it can be a wonderful time to be getting some of your best ideas from very ethereal places like dream work or yoga or meditation or any of those, even psychedelics. They all could be in the 12th house. But you could be getting some really interesting insights from those types of places. Then on the 14th, Mercury goes retrograde. And when Mercury is retrograde in the 12th house, the 12th house is also known as the house of self-undoing. And Mercury retrograde can be times of miscommunication. So try to be as as above board, above, beyond reproach with how you communicate and what you say. Be very careful with your words, because if you try to be a little deceptive, if you try to get away with something, it could kind of blow up in your face. So just try to be as honest as possible, and that's definitely the best policy for this cycle. Then Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month in your 10th house of authority figures and career. So if you're in a career now, you could be really, really driven at your job, getting a lot of good work done. Mars isn't such a team player, so the more work you do by yourself might be better. And since the 10th house represents authority figures and Mars is a conflict-ridden planet, this could be a time of running into flare-ups with the people who tell you what to do, whether that's your boss or your parents or a teacher or a government official if you're running your own business. So, be a little cautious around authority figures as well. Then on the 24th, Mars enters your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, as well as friends. So during this next part of the cycle, you're going to be really driven. Again, that's Mars. It represents our drive to be accomplishing your long-term goals. Now, since this is also the house of friends with Mars in here, you could be feeling a bit competitive with your friends, or your friends might be a little bit more competitive with you, or you might run into some misunderstandings as well. So be ready to just kind of clear the air, because Mercury is retrograde too this month, and Mars can be a little bit feisty. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, starts the month retrograde in your 11th house. Again, that's the house of friends and long-term goals. Now, Venus is a relationship planet, and I really went into a lot of depth about what this retrograde cycle is going to be like for you. So you can check out our last month's video to hear more about that. But generally speaking, Venus retrograde times are times of relationship review, and in your 11th house, you could be sizing up your current partner or thinking about your next partner in terms of how well they fit in with your friendship circles and whether you guys have the same long-term goals. And I know you've got some stuff on Juno too, Jamie, that I think everyone's interested to hear.
It's a really interesting combination of factors, because this month we have Venus retrograde causing that kind of retrospective that you were talking about, especially regarding community, like who am I connected to in my community? Do I really feel warmly towards them? What do I need to review about those connections, and the relationship that I'm in? If you are in a relationship, how does that fit into, community that we share? Do we share community? And if we don't, should this relationship continue? Like, his friends don't like me, my friends don't like him, awkward, right? So, but while that review process is going on, Juno and the Sun are coming together in a conjunction. And this I like to call, Commitment Rapture Day. And it happens once a year. And it's really the best time for committed relationships to go forward and take that next step. So like maybe getting engaged, or forming a business relationship that's committed, even signing a contract, or starting a business partnership. All those things are advantaged when the Sun conjuncts Juno, and it's happening right about here. In the middle of the month while Venus is retrograde. So this is definitely a time to sort through your relationships and ask yourselves, which ones should I be committing to in any area, whether it's business or personal, and then to go ahead and make that step forward. Okay, so I want to tell you about the moons this month. Most particularly, the first moon is a new moon, and it's right here falling in your 11th house at the beginning of the month. This moon is a bit of a rough one. We're calling it when toughing it out doesn't work anymore. And that's because this is in Capricorn, and all of these planets gathered together in Capricorn are reminding us that there is a limit to how much we can go through life wearing that tough shell, especially in the context of friendships and groups. And you might feel like you like to be strong when you're out in groups and communities, but this particular moon, especially with its square to Chiron, might just bring about something that reminds you, oh, I don't really want to be around friends who might have to have that brittle, tough exterior around. So, as is often the case, the moons in a month are connected. And here we have the second moon of the month, which is a full moon. It's in Cancer in the 5th house, opposing the sun, still in your 11th house in Capricorn, with this big gathering of planets lighting up the house of friends and community. But this full moon can continue and play out those themes. We're calling this one Relax and Allow the Break You've Been Working Toward. And this moon falls in the 5th house, which is a house of fun and play and relaxation and entertainment and love affairs and like trips to Vegas. So the moon here, the full moon, is saying, if you discovered under the new moon that you've just been too brittle with your friends, now is the time to let loose and have some fun, maybe throw a party. Invite people over to play games and be more vulnerable with them. It's a fun thought. So then the last thing I want to tell you about is that we have a seasonal shift as the sun leaves the sign of Capricorn and moves into the sign of Aquarius. We Western astrologers think of the signs as seasons, not as constellations. And so the sun moving into Aquarius is something that's celebrated around the world as a time when the light is increasing. I'm thinking of things like Candlemas, in the Catholic tradition, or Brigid in the pagan tradition, and in other places around the world. Humans have noticed that the light is starting to increase. Now, for you, what's interesting is that the sun enters into a house that is a little bit more hidden and dark. Now, wherever the sun goes, it's good to shine the light of attention. You can think of the 12th house as the house of dreams, imaginings, and spiritual life. And so when the sun moves into Aquarius, and as long as it's in Aquarius, that is a really good place to shine the spotlight of your high quality attention, because attention is like sunlight. Wherever you shine it, things can grow. So you can grow in the depth of your connection to spirit in whatever religion you may practice, and feeling a deep connection to your inner self while the sun is passing through your 12th house. All right. That's what we have for you today, Pisces. Hope you enjoyed it. You can find this horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, and on the monthly forecast page there, you can find the news videos about things that we talked about here, like the moons and Venus and Juno activity and Ceres Retrograde. On our website, you can find those news videos. On our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, you can find those videos as well. And if you're interested in a reading or a class, all that stuff is on our website too. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.